Hello, everyone, and welcome into a new year, Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer coach JT Burton. I'm Brian Staten with Coach JT Burton in his second season for the Pioneers, a team last year that finished fourth in the South Atlantic Conference, hosted a South Atlantic Conference tournament game as well, as we saw Catawba and LR advance to the tournament championship. Much more about that coming up later. A Pioneer basketball team this season that, well, maybe some question marks without the leading scorer in Donovan Donaldson, who graduated last season. Who would step up to be that guy for the Pioneers? I believe that there was going to be a lot of guys that you had opportunities to because of the people that were in your system, but still some question marks coming in. And through the non-conference part of the season, what have you liked about your team and who has stepped up?
I liked about our team is Brandon Mitchell has stepped up really big. I mean, that kid right there has, he had a strong double-double one game. It was like 19 points, 15 rebounds. I mean, you knew Trenton Gibson was going to come in and play well. And Tariq Jenkins has also shot the ball well. The way this team is set up, it's not one person that's going to dominate the scoring. You're always going to have one that's going to average more than everybody. But, as you see, we got four guys that's averaging double figures.
When we talk about this program for Coach Burton, it's, let's go back and talk about some other things. He's like, man, I don't even know what we did last game. But, when we opened up the season, it was a very tough challenge. Went to Harrogate, Tennessee at Lincoln Memorial University. And you see two of the strongest teams, I believe, out of that Peach Belt. And when you talk about USC Aiken, you're talking about a team last year that was ranked sixth in the country. And Trenton Gibson has the triple-double. And then things just kind of followed from there. You open up 2-0 on the season. Was it a surprise to you?
It was a big surprise because I told my staff, be ready for this year because every game that we played and we proved that down the stretch is going to be close. It's going to be a nail biter. Yeah. But those first two games, I was shocked myself because we shot the ball pretty well and we rebounded the ball really well those two games. And when you're making shots and you're rebounding, especially offensive end like we have been, it changes the game. And I think against UNC Aikens, that's what we done, especially the second half.
And win against Clayton State as well up there. And again, two teams that traditionally finish into the NCAA tournament or at least into the regional and advance. A Pioneer team then that came home, and you're going to see some highlights from the Young Harris game. And I think for some question marks for us, you're having this home opener. We had a huge crowd. It was great. And how would the team react? And then Young Harris comes in and hits 10 3-pointers on us to begin the half.
Yeah, and it's one of those deals that where watching the film, we knew how they was going to play. I mean, they was going to get up and down, 5 in, 5 out, get a lot of threes up, and kind of helter-skelter. But we did a really good job of young season to be able to withstand their run because it took a last-second shot. Dylan Smith was 0 for 10 on it before he made his last shot. But hey, like I told him before, as long as you make the last one, that's all that counts.
Yeah, there were some guys in the game. Brandon Mitchell was huge. Tariq Jenkins comes up huge. We haven't really talked about Tariq a whole lot just yet. But two guys that were with you last year that really did step up in that game.
Yes, they have. Especially Brandon. I keep raving about that kid because last year, Brandon and we had some, I had to adjust to him. Right. And that was the biggest thing, and he didn't have to adjust to me. And it was tough, but I done it, and it showed this year because the kid, I'm a fiery type guy, and Brandon's laid back. You can yell and fuss at him, and he's going to give you the same look every single time. Yep. But he's proven it on the court that he can rebound the ball and plus score it, so it's been really big for us.
Just a moment ago, we saw a three-pointer from Justin Mitchell, and there's some young kids who have really come in too. And I think have been somewhat of a surprise. Justin Mitchell, to me, is one of those kids. You got Joshua Scott, who is another one. Some young freshmen that have come in and made an immediate impact.
Yes, we needed to because this year we didn't take any transfer. We signed 12 new freshmen. We redshirted a couple of them. But Joshua Scott, he's first man off the bench. He's playing the 4. He's been playing really big for us. Hit a big 3 the other night on the road. And then Justin Mitchell. Justin's is a scorer. He's a older freshman, but the kid can score the ball. And defensively, still got a long way to go, but he's been really good for us.
You see Pioneer still continuing to offensive rebound. Pioneer offensive rebounding team that is the number 1 in the nation, and I think that has been the key right now through the not scoring a lot of points, not getting a lot of second chance opportunities, but we're also taking some time off the clock, staying in games too.
Yes, as I told everybody's wondering what's going on. Zach Harders, who's behind the scene, he could tell you that I put a lot of emphasis on defense first. Sure. So the defense is going to be way ahead of the offense. And my philosophy is they've been playing basketball their whole life. So they're going to be able to score the ball, as you see, coming there in this last second shot with Dylan. They'll be able to score the ball. Yeah. It's just defensively with the zone, you got to be able to get the rules and the concepts down and everything will be okay.
You see Dylan making the final shot, the last desperation attempt. The home opener for the Pioneers against Young Harris was a 1-point come-from-behind victory. Pioneers go to North Georgia as well, go to Queens following that. You take on a couple of teams. Open up the year at 3-0. You take on then two really, I guess, different teams out of Peach Bell and Conference Carolinas. And Pembroke, I think, nationally known, is going to be nationally known this year. It's a 2-point loss there. And then a Lees McRae game where the comeback bid falls up just a bit short. So you drop your first 2 games of the year in Charlotte. And how different were both of those games?
Well, you play 2 different styles of teams. I mean, you got UNC Pembroke, who has post players. They played through their post, and the guards was really good. They made a lot of threes early in the game, and we just didn't shoot the ball well. We haven't shot the ball well. I mean, it's nothing taken away from those 2 teams that we lost to, but I think if we shoot the ball pretty well and once we get our feet under us and get used to everything becoming second nature, I think we'll be okay.
And, I think a product of what Coach is talking about, concentrating on rebounding and defense first, and the offense will come along as it goes. And then against Lees McRae, it's a really, it's another team that likes to get up and down the court and score the ball a lot. You're holding them to 85 points. We do that against North Georgia as well. But right now, your defense isn't to the point where you need it to be right now. No,
it's nowhere near it. I mean, because last year we led the conference. I think it was 74 points a game in conference, but it's going to come. I mean, you got a lot of new guys. The thing is, the first 5, the guys are returning who's been here, they get it. But when you go making subs, it's kind of hard for some of these young guys to adjust, especially on the fly, some of the adjustments you have to make during the game. So I think it's going to come as well. But as long as we keep rebounding the ball, especially offensively, we're always going to be in games.
Last game the Pioneers played was at the massive Convocation Center at North Georgia, University of North Georgia, and another different style of a team. Really good guard play when I got there. I was really impressed to see that from this team, and it dealt with some early adversity with your team. They were able to get a lead, and you just kind of hung in there the entire first half.
Yeah, we tried to. I mean, it was our first true road trip, and we knew, we walked in, guys was all like, some of these young freshmen, they see the facilities there, and they at all. I mean, in awe, and I was like, guys, that's okay. I mean, the ball goes in the hoop's still the same size no matter where you go. And once we got the game started, we started off kind of slow. And then, they're going to make a run, and we made a run, but it ended up being a really good game close at the end. We was fortunate enough to win in overtime.
And again, another first half where the Pioneers will watch the team hit some big threes, really, for the most part. It's what gained the separation. You fought back. You were right there within maybe a possession there just for the half. Then the entire second half, you held the lead, but we just couldn't get any separation. And I was trying to sit there and figure out, was it their defense or was it just our poor shooting?
Well, I mean, you look at it throughout the game, you had Trenton Gibson and Dylan Smith combined 0 for 7 from the 3-point line and 2 for 18 from the field. Yeah. So, and you still able to come away with a win. And then you had Tariq Jenkins, who had 19, but he fouled out early in the game. Yeah. And you're still able to win. So those little things like that that's why I say we still got a long way to go, but we're making some progress even though we're not putting up the points.
It was a weird game because with this Pioneer team too, as did have Tariq Jenkins score the 19 points, but he didn't get a lot of the offensive production from others. But then late in the game, Josh Scott hits a big 3-pointer, and I felt like that was going to be the difference. And then they were able to get to the free throw line. One of their best guys goes to the line and hits it, at 46%, does go 1 of 2, forces the overtime. And then I thought Cam King going to the free throw line kind of to ice it was just kind of a sealer. A guy that shoots 23% from the stripe was 0 for 1 this year and hits both. I thought that was kind of sweet justice.
Well, I was going offensive defense, and to be honest with you, and I told them, and I put Joshua Scott and Cam King in there. And I kept him in. I mean, I was like, you know what? I'm going to ride it out. Yeah. And it paid off because I think Cam kind of needed that. I needed that as far as confidence for him. He needed confidence for himself and his teammates because after he hit it, the kid had the biggest smile on his face ever because, I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to look. And you talking about a 23% free. Let's call it what it is. And he stepped up and made both of them. I mean, the second one was all nets, and we was able to come away with the win after those 2 free throws.
So the Pioneers do get the win after a couple of 3-point opportunities fall to the wayside to attempt to tie it to send it to a second overtime. Pioneers go to 4-2 on the year with their overtime victory against the North Georgia Nighthawks. Well, when we come back, it's a huge week this week for the Pioneers and a grueling 22-game stretch in South Atlantic Conference play. And we'll talk about this week and beyond when we come back after this for the Pioneer Basketball Show with Pioneer coach JT Burton.
Family.
Food's here!
What's it mean to you?
We got lunch.
To us, it means the people you care about, look out for, and love. even if you'd never let them hear you say it.
Hey, you're eating hummus?
What's wrong with hummus?
Here at Ingalls, we have everything you need to gather around the table and give each other a hard time. Because that's what families do. Ingalls, all the ingredients for family.
Johnson City Toyota's
Pioneers open up conference play this week against two finalists of the South Atlantic Conference Tournament. As we opened up the show to tell you that Lenoir-Rhyne and Catawba will be in Pioneer Arena, however, this week for Thanksgiving week. Rejoined by Pioneer coach JT Burton. When I throw out names like Jabril Jallo or Corey Thomas and guys like that, these are guys for Coach Everett Sullivan who has brought LR basketball back to the forefront and back to the top. And, now we got a guy, JT Burton, trying to bring Pioneer basketball. So two teams last year that met in the quarterfinals of the South Atlantic Conference Tournament, Tusculum and LR, in a 4-5 matchup. And, it's good to see that old school basketball. That's what I called it last year when those two teams went to the finals. Old school final. It wasn't a LMU and a Queens. I mean, it was two guys that opened up conference play. Guess what? That's who you get to open up the year with in South Atlantic Conference action. And what will LR challenge you with this week?
It's going to be our schedule up until now is preparative for this because they play 4 guards, too big sometimes, but they can all step out and shoot the ball. So we got to guard the 3-point line. We can't get driven. I mean, it's the basic things, most of the things we've seen already. We don't be surprised if they don't come out tonight and hit 10 threes the first half.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way they play, it's the way Coach Everett Sullivan does a very good job with them. And so we got to guard the 3-point line, and then the biggest thing is rebound the ball.
It was a Pioneer team last year that I think down the stretch late just couldn't get that second chance opportunity. You got Brandon Mitchell right now leading the conference offensive rebounds, #1 in the nation. I mean, here's a guy that, as you've talked about already, and I don't want to say a whole lot about it earlier, but here's a guy that's kind of transformed his game, I think also to meet what you need him to do for you. And if you get that out of him tonight, how good do you feel for your team?
I mean, I think Brandon has been consistent. I mean, the other night, he still thinks that they kind of got him on a couple of rebounds, but he's been very consistent. And I think if he can score the ball and continue to rebound the ball like he has, and sometimes get some second chance points off of those offensive rebounds, yeah. I like our chances with him.
The radio announcer thought he had a couple of other rebounds too, by the way. A Pioneer basketball team though, they'll take on LR tonight. This week will be the 50th meeting, with this school and these programs, and they have always been traditionally very good contests. How important is it to get off for your team though? They may hit a bunch of threes, but how important is it for you guys to get off to the good start?
It's really important because it becomes the mental aspect of the game as far as making shots, especially for Dylan Smith, because the last 4 games he's shooting like a dismal 25% from the field, a 3, and the kid needs some confidence now. And if he could see one go in, especially early, him and Trent Gibson, I think we'd be okay.
2 big steals though for Dylan against North Georgia as well. His defense is there. Trenton's defense is there. I'd like to see that offense get going. So a tough challenge with LR to open up, and then over the weekend it will be the Catawba Indians. Last year, the South Atlantic Conference Tournament champions, and Rob Perrin was so excited last year. I didn't think he knew what to do after it happened. He had a lot of talent last year. He's got Marcel Haskins back too. He's got a lot of talent returning.
Yes, he does. They're really, really good. I haven't really dug into them yet because take it one game at a time. Like I told you, I don't know who we're playing next, but I know that they're really good. To me, you got LMU A, and they're 1B, because they're really, really good. They're really talented from top to bottom.
It's a good team and a good challenge for the Pioneers to open up this week. It's 2 conference teams that you kind of almost have to have a different mindset when you play them. But what do you need to see? It's the old adage. It's kind of that coach speak here. What do you need to see from your team this week?
We're going to have to, again, it goes back to consistency. You got to continue to rebound, do the things that we've been very successful at. It's rebounding the ball, playing good half-court defense, executing our offense in the half-court, but we got to make shots. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest key. And I think once we can get guys like Dylan Smith, Tariq Jenkins staying consistent, Trent Gibson, and Caleb Hotnett, I don't think he shot the ball from the 3-point land like he has consistency. Once we get some consistent scoring, I think we'll be okay.
Pioneer basketball team opening up conference play this week, a Tuesday night 7:30 against Lenoir-Rhyne, and a Saturday afternoon 4 o'clock affair against Catawba. He's Pioneer coach JT Burton. The Pioneers have opened 4-2 open conference play this week. We're back next week with more of our Pioneer basketball show and a recap of our first week of the South Atlantic Conference. For everyone behind the scenes of the Pioneer Sports Network, I'm Brian Staten. Happy Thanksgiving and go Pioneers.